So what we have here is a collection of static structured harnesses. So once the harness is on your dog's body, no matter which way they pull, your circumferences all stay the same, right? Which allows them, in a lot of cases, to do kind of a runner's high effect. They push on the standard structure, and there's compression on the portion that they're pushing toward, but usually that ends up being across the chest. And if you think about how much blood and tissue is right there, they push, they release, they push, they release. It's almost an adrenaline high. It teaches them to pull more.
So I started doing this because I run with this monkey.
Yes, and this is very stable for a well-trained dog. This has got absolutely no odds of hurting her in any capacity because you've got the thick straps and the padded structure. So this is an endurance harness. This is something where you're not needing correction or reinforcement. You're needing your dog to be super duper safe and comfy for long periods of time. That's why you see most service dogs in a static harness like this. Then you get into things like this, where we're talking about split structures, and the idea is that you're putting the pressure points on the dog on the areas where they will feel the most acutely with the least pressure and correct that way. This guy, unless I'm much mistaken because we're doing these fast, is functionally meant to be a dual clipped harness. Yeah, Wonder Walker, okay. So dual clipped harness means you put a clip on the front and a clip on the back, usually front of the chest, back of the shoulders, right? Meaning that you can direct the dog laterally away when they start to pull.
Right.
Same general concept as a gentle leader or a front-facing clip altogether. This one just difference is you're going around their head and then clipping to a leash as well. So all of these are static structure.
Okay.
They're meant to be a dynamic experience, but there's nothing about the harness that changes based on the behavior of your dog.
Okay.
A martingale system is a non-static structure. So instead of this band being consistent and then just having the one clip point that doesn't change no matter how you pull on it, at the points where the dog is clipped to the leash, where the harness is clipped to the leash, there is another loop of fabric. When the dog pulls, we do nothing, but the dog pulling puts what was a perfect circle of loose fabric to an elongated loop laterally, which shrinks the circumference of the harness. If you were to think about it like my waistband here, rather than me getting pulled like this, you have a loop here that shrinks and shrinks as they pull. So their behavior dictates how the harness feels. Now there are martingale head harnesses, head halties and that kind of thing. I don't prefer them because I'm reticent just because of how thin the skin on a dog's face is, especially in this dry weather. We get pollen under there, we get sagebrush, we get a bunch of the abrasives we have in our air underneath those harnesses, and I've seen a lot of infected pores and lost skin and that kind of thing. But also, the sad truth is that there's a lot of people who don't understand what dog tools look like. And if you've got anything around your dog's face, there's a lot of people who presume it's there because your dog's aggressive.
Well, that's what I said. It looks like a muzzle, but it's not.
Yes, and even if you know that muzzles can be used for really good purposes, if you see a dog with a muzzle, your innate reaction is to avoid. And if everybody's avoiding your dogs, socializing your dogs to be non-reactive to people becomes even more difficult, which is why I really like the martingale harnesses.